All right, before I bring Dr. Travis Freeman onto the show, I want to give him the absolute proper introduction that he absolutely deserves. So here is his synopsis of his life, and we're going to dive into this as we have our conversation. Dr. Travis A. Freeman is a 1999 graduate of Corbin High School, where he was a top 10 student and 4-year letterman for the Red Hound football team. After losing his sight at the age of 12 due to a severe infection, Travis played backup center for the Red Hounds from 1995 to 1998 as America's first blind football player. In 1999, the National High School Athletic Hall of Fame awarded Travis the first annual Travis Freeman Achievement Award, recognizing his achievements on the football field. After high school, Travis attended the University of Kentucky, where he served as a football equipment manager and president of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. In 2003, Travis graduated from UK with a BBA degree in business management. From UK, Travis went on to the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, where he earned a Master of Divinity degree and Doctorate of Philosophy, a PhD. Travis teaches in the Missions and Ministry Department at University of the Cumberlands. He also serves as president and CEO of the Freeman Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting the truth that disability does not equal inability. Travis and his wife, Stephanie, were married on July 25th, 2015, and just had their first child, Lillian Pearl, on January 3rd, 2019. The major motion picture 23 Blast, a feature film loosely based on Travis as a blind high school football player, was released in theaters on October 24, 2014, and is now available on DVD. Also, the book Lights Out, Living in a Sightless World, was released in October of 2014. Lights Out is the complete story of Travis Freeman that inspired 23 Blast. If you would like to find out more about the Freeman Foundation or schedule Travis for a speaking engagement, you can visit www.travisfreeman.org. Now, let's welcome Travis to the show. Travis, thank you so much for coming on, my friend.
Adam, it's great to be with you all today.
Yes, thank you so much, sir.
It's my pleasure.
So, Travis, we want to hear the story, and that's, to be honest, that's exactly where we want to start. We want to start off with just kind of talking about your early years. You've grown up in the beautiful state of Kentucky where I grew up. It's where our company is based, but your story resonates, around the country as well, just what you had to go through and overcome. But let's talk about kind of your years growing up in Kentucky. Like, what was your childhood school years, and what was that like in your early years?
Yeah, my childhood was just a typical all-American kid kind of life. My parents and I, we were involved in our community. I was involved in athletics, in school, in our church. And it was just really a typical all-American kid kind of life.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, and just kind of give us an idea too, is like, what was it like when you first started playing football? Like, how old were you when you started playing
I
football?
started playing football in the fifth and sixth grade. And where I started in the fifth grade, I played fifth and sixth, and it was just a sport that I was raised around. In Corbin, football is huge. It's probably bigger than basketball. I know that's kind of crazy to say in the state of Kentucky, but it was just a huge thing. I always wanted to play football for the Red Hounds on Friday night. And as a young kid, I was a water boy for the football team. I was just raised around it. I loved football. I loved Corbin. I loved the Red Hounds, and just wanted to be a part of it. And I started, like I said, I started playing in the fifth grade. And I played in the fifth and sixth grade Optimus League, Little League football.
All right. That's awesome. So you kind of already kind of had a passion for football, and it is kind of
Absolutely.
rare that football, it doesn't tend to be a Kentucky type sport, but yeah, you're right. Down in Corbin, it is absolutely a big thing there. So I can understand that passion for sure. So let's go now, kind of jump forward now to the actual experience and what began to happen when you started first having issues with your sight. Like,
Mhm.
basically, how old were you, and when
Yeah,
did you
I
know something
was
was wrong?
I was I was 12 years old. It was 1993, late in the month of June. And I woke up one Wednesday morning with a severe migraine headache. And that wasn't all that unusual for me. I had suffered from headaches as a child, had a lot of them. But there was something different this time, and that is that the headache wouldn't go away.
Mm.
And I had a migraine headache that lasted for 9 days,
Oh
and
my.
went to a couple of different doctors during that time, and they both said it's just a headache. There were no other symptoms, no other issues. They said eventually it'll go away. And I woke up on the morning of the 10th day, and the headache was gone. But
Mm.
my left eye had started hurting at that point. And my parents looked at it. They didn't see anything wrong. They said, "Hang out today. If it's still hurting this afternoon, then we'll take you to the eye doctor." And so my mom came home from work. She looked at my eye. It was still hurting, and it had started to swell. And so we went to the eye doctor, and he did an eye exam. He was looking for an injury. I had hit myself the night before, and he didn't find anything wrong. He said, "Go
Mm.
home, put some ice on it, and it should be better by in the morning." And so I woke up that next morning. It was July the 3rd, Saturday, and my eye was still hurting. It was still swollen, and the area right around my left eye was beginning to swell. And so this time we went back to the eye doctor, and he looked behind my eye, and he saw that I had a massive infection.
Mm.
And then they rushed me to UK and to the University of Kentucky Hospital, and began, admitted me into the ER and started doing all kinds of tests and CAT scans and MRIs, trying to just figure out what in the world was going on.
Yeah. So did it feel like a lot of pressure behind your eye, or was it just hurting, like aching
It
almost?
was just hurting and starting to swell,
Mm.
and that swelling continued. They eventually admitted me into the pediatric ICU there at UK, and started just giving me massive amounts of antibiotics. The antibiotics weren't phasing the infection. And so on July the 4th, Sunday, July the 4th, they decided that they were going to have to do a surgery.
Mm.
They told us that it would be an hour and a half surgery, but it ended up lasting over 4 hours. While I
Mm.
was in surgery, my head was so swollen that you couldn't see my eyelashes. And my
Wow.
temperature topped out at over 106.
Oh my goodness.
So, I was laying on my deathbed.
Yeah.
And medically speaking, there's no reason that I should have walked out of that hospital. They told us that 70% of the people that had what I had die.
Oh my
And
goodness.
of the 30% that survive, most of them are in a persistent vegetative state. They said I'm only the second case in the world where it's ever just affected the eyes.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. So what, I mean, you're 12 years old at this time, right?
Yes.
So what was going through your mind as a 12-year-old leading up to this moment?
Well, not a lot, really.
Okay.
It all happened so quickly. I came out of surgery, and the doctors had saved my life, but I was completely blind. And so in 2 days, less than 2 days, I went from 20/20 vision to no vision at all.
Oh my.
And I don't remember a lot around my surgery, because I was just so medicated. They were keeping me somewhat sedated, and I just don't remember. But my parents have always told the story, that right after my surgery, shortly, a day or so after, when the doctors had finally told us that I would probably never see again, they came into my hospital room and just wanted to see how I was processing and dealing with things.
Hmm.
And they said that I looked at them and I said, "I believe that I will see again one day." But if I don't, I can't wait to see what God's going to do with this.
Oh, that's good.
You know, I was a 12-year-old kid, but yet I understood that God had a plan for my life, and
Yeah.
that no matter what happened,
Hmm.
God was going to use it.
Yeah. Wow, man. Yeah. Even at 12 years old, you're already faced with a big critical life moment.
Right.
And yeah, and it's interesting. And this kind of leads me down to the next question too for you is we all come across adversity. We have difficulty in our
Mhm.
life, but here you are 12 years old faced with a rare infection, lost your sight, could have died very easily, given the statistics you just said. It was absolutely a possibility.
Right.
But inside of you, God gave you something that made you you had a choice. You had a choice to basically be, look at this situation as a positive thing or the negative thing.
Right.
So what do you think really made it helped you kind of progress into the more positive arena versus the negative? Because it could have easily just, woe is me,
Mhm.
oh, I've lost my sight and panic. I'm sure you've actually had those moments, no doubt, and feel free to share those if
Well,
you want
yeah,
to.
like
But
every, but no more than anyone else,
yeah,
and I would just say it was a gift from God, but it was also just the foundation that I had growing up in church. I had become a believer a year before that, and had just been reading my Bible and studying it and praying, and I just see that God was laying that foundation in my life for what was going to happen.
yeah,
And the reality is we all face these issues. We all face struggles and trials and tragedies,
hmm,
and the key is to have a foundation in God's word, to trust that God is in control,
hmm,
that God does have a plan, and that God's plan will not be thwarted.
hmm,
And to realize that God's going to use you no matter what. And
yeah,
that was the foundation that I had, and that was the foundation that brought me through my struggles.
yeah. That's good. That's good. We've got a comment here. Phyllis Meadows Hughes said, God had plans for Travis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's absolutely true. So, you know, you had a friend, Jerry Baker,
Hmm.
and he was pretty active. How active was he in your life before and then during and then after? Where does Jerry Baker fit into the
Yeah,
story?
Jerry was a great friend. Um, he and I kind of were in the same friend group. I don't know that I would say we were best friends, but we
Mm-hmm,
were really good friends.
mm-hmm,
Um, and when I first lost my sight, I really didn't want anyone at the hospital.
mm-hmm,
I didn't know how my friends were going to react. And he just showed up one day and said that his aunt had dropped him off, and he was there basically to spend the day with me. And we ended up I got in a wheelchair, and he pushed me all over the hospital, and we laughed and had fun. And I realized at that point that it was going to be okay, that my friends would accept me, and that I would be able to lead a normal life. And unfortunately, Jerry and I went in different directions once we got into high school, and Jerry just had a lot of demons that he battled himself, and
mm-hmm.
but he was a great friend of mine, and really played an important part in my life.
Yeah, it's in moments like this, there tends to be a person that comes alongside somebody, and I think that's just something for us all to kind of keep in mind, that we don't neglect that person. It's like, we can get so caught up in our own minds and our own issues and our own turmoil that we shut people out. And I think you were challenged to do that. I mean, that's the human nature. It's a way to
Right.
self-deflect. I mean, I can understand that. I mean, not to that degree, but I understand that human nature is to kind of push back. But then we
Right.
have those people in our life that want to be part of it.
Right.
And I think it's just something to kind of keep in mind for all of us. It's like, man, let's be aware about the people in our lives and who those people are and where they fit into the story. But yeah, so Jerry Baker, he ended up kind of taking a different direction. And, he probably faced his own adversity, like you had said, his own
Absolutely.
demons. And he was constantly faced with the same choice that you were faced with.
Mhm.
Life and death and challenges and just what life throws at you. And you guys chose different directions. So I think that's just a testament to that, there's always a choice that we are faced with, and we can choose
Right.
the right way, the positive way, or the negative way, or the wrong way. Um, so,
Absolutely.
so yeah, so that's now you're at the place now where you've lost your sight.
Mhm.
You've kind of recovered. You're coming out of your shell a little bit, and all of a sudden now you are wanting to play football, blind. So,
Yeah.
which
So
in
so
my mind,
there
it's like, wow, okay,
yeah,
of
right.
all sports.
So there was a whole process. When I came out of the hospital, my life was flipped upside down.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to live life all over again. And we were given the name of a lady in Lexington and told to call her, and that she would be able to help us, that she would know what was going on, and she was the expert. Because my parents and I, we had never been around someone who was
Yeah.
blind. We didn't know
Yeah.
what was going on.
Mm.
And so I'd been home from the hospital a couple of days, and my mom picked up the phone to call this lady. And I am an only child. I'm spoiled, and I'm a mama's boy. And I say all of that because my mom calls this lady, and the first thing out of her mouth was, "Miss Freeman, you might as well face it. You no longer have a son.
Ooh. Mm.
Travis is going to have to go off to the Kentucky School for the Blind, and he's going to have to learn how to live life in a dark, dark world, and
Mm.
you will no longer be a part of it."
Wow. Oh
Um,
man.
not an encouraging moment. She was
Yeah.
not a ray of sunshine in our life. But my mom didn't know what to say to her, and so she just hung up on her. And we made an appointment. We went to Louisville. We visited KSB, told them our story, and at the end of our time, they said, "Travis doesn't belong here. He needs to be in Corbin, where he'll have his family, his friends, his support system, and we're willing to help make that happen." And so that started me on this path of re-assimilating into a normal flow of life. And it really took the next year. My body was
Mm.
physically just decimated.
Mm.
I was weak. I was just mentally, physically exhausted at the end of every day. And so I spent a year, doing all the normal things that a uh, seventh grade boy would do, while at the same time learning how to live life again.
Mm.
And at the end of my seventh grade year of school, I had been very successful at re-assimilating myself back into that normal flow of life. Um, and then there was football. I wanted to be a part of it. My parents knew that. And so they went to our eighth grade football coach, Coach Ferris, and they said, "Coach, we want Travis to be a part of the team. We want him to work out, get some exercise." So we don't expect him to play or anything. We just want him to be a part of it. And Coach Ferris looked at my mom and he said, "No." He said, "If Travis Freeman does anything for this team, he's going to play."
Wow.
And he said, "I figured it out. He'll be the center. So he'll have the guards on either side of him, the quarterback behind him. They'll help him to and from the huddle, line him up over the ball, and then tell him where his man is. And then once Travis snaps the ball to the quarterback and makes contact with the opponent, it'll be just like anyone else blocking." And so in August of 1994, I stepped foot on the football field as America's first blind football player.
Wow. Wow, fearless. I mean, that's just that's crazy. I mean, the fact to play football blind. I mean, in some ways, it is a fearless moment because, and I wonder, do you think that you were probably more aggressive? I mean, you couldn't see someone coming at you, so
Mhm.
you were probably all in. I mean, so it
Well,
made you.
yes, but I just it never crossed my mind that I should not play or that I should be afraid. I just from the first moment that I was told it was a possibility, I was like, yeah, why not? Why
Why
wouldn't
not?
I? And my parents were extremely supportive. The coaches, the administration, everyone was extremely supportive. So in the movie, there's some kind of
Yeah,
conflict there. They have to introduce the antagonism and the antagonist and all this, but that just wasn't the case.
yeah.
And it was, it made sense to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So even in your bio, when I was reading that, it says loosely based. So I
Yeah.
do encourage everybody, guys, if you have not watched the movie 23 Blast, go watch it because, and then and listen to this conversation because you're hearing it from Travis and you'll be able to watch the movie. A lot of what he is saying lines up, but of course they've shortened it a lot for, Hollywood and to make it, more impactful as far as time allotment. But they did a pretty good job overall, kind of
Yeah.
getting the idea of the story.
I always like to say they did a great job of capturing the spirit of my story. But after I saw the movie for the first time, I quickly came to understand what loosely inspired by actually means. I did not have Crystal Hunt and Alexa Vega chasing me around in high school. That was not my high school experience. But they did a great job of capturing the spirit of the story.
Yeah.
But that's why we wrote the book. We wanted the true story, the complete story to be out there. And in Lights Out, you're going to see a lot of things that you don't see uh, in the movie, and that you don't even I don't even talk about a lot when I'm telling my story and that sort of thing, just because there was so much that went on.
Yeah. 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 They packed so much into a movie where there's a lot more to that story. A
Right.
lot more to that story. So yeah, and we're giving that book away. So guys, and if you don't win, please buy the book, and we'll give you information on how to do that towards the end of this conversation. So yeah, and you actually made a cameo in the movie, didn't you? Were you the
I
pastor?
did. I did. I was the pastor, the preacher in the dream sequence.
Yes,
So
that was
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
And then at the end, your parents and I think Coach Ferris was in there
Coach
after the
Ferris
credits.
was there. Patty Wheatley was there. They show Jerry Baker's daughter, I believe, was in
Yes,
there.
yes,
And then there's some, some live footage of some Corbin football games and that sort of thing.
that's awesome. So that this is kind of your middle school, high school era of your life, and you
Right.
went through this thing. Years later, major motion pictures made about your story. What a journey that
Mhm.
was. You can,
It was crazy.
yeah.
They filmed the entire movie here in Corbin, and so I
Oh
was able
wow.
to be out on the set just about every day, and I never will forget the first time I was there. They were about a week into production, and I was finally able to come back. I had just defended my dissertation earlier that week, and I remember walking out onto the set for the first time and just being completely overwhelmed
Mm,
because I realized that all of those people were there because they felt that my story was worth telling,
yeah.
and
Wow.
that
That's
was just
true.
overwhelming.
Mm,
But then you go through the whole filming process, and then they edited it. Then, like a year later, we finally saw it for the first time. We went to a couple different film festivals, and eventually it was picked up by distribution, And then we got to go through the whole New York release and all that. And
Wow.
it was awesome. It was a ton of
What an
fun.
experience.
And just an experience that, you know, people talk about once in a lifetime experience. It wasn't even just once in a lifetime. Like
Yeah.
most people never get to experience something like that.
Yeah.
And
So true.
it was awesome. It was just,
Yeah. What a journey. Because you even went on a speaking tour and everything too, didn't you? Like you were on a
yeah,
few
yeah.
different national networks and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I did. So I did during the release of the movie. I was all over the country doing interviews, and then the week of the release, I was on Fox News twice. I
Wow.
was on the Huckabee Show, and then I was on Fox and Friends, and then they did. I did a thing where I was in a studio in New York, and they kind of through satellite, I went to like 10 or 12 different news stations doing local interviews. And so it was just a lot of fun. And, you know, I can remember the red carpet release there in New York. And I had a moment. We were walking the red carpet, doing interviews and that sort of thing. And I had a moment when I was just kind of standing there by myself, and again, it was that overwhelming sense of these people find my story worth telling, and
Yeah.
it was just overwhelming.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously. I can't imagine. I mean, just, yeah. I mean, you lived it. That was your story. And
Right.
you've got all these people kind of caring about it and recording it and making a movie about it. I mean, yeah, what a surreal experience, you know?
It was
Man.
because like you just said, I lived it. It really
Yeah.
wasn't. I didn't think I was doing anything extraordinary when I was living my life.
Yeah.
But yet, you know, God had a plan, and God
Absolutely.
wanted to use my life and use my story in a unique way, and He has done that.
He has. And let's transition to that right there. So after high school, you graduate. What now is in store for Travis? Walk
Yeah,
us through that journey to where you are now.
yeah. So I graduated from high school in 1999. I went to the University of Kentucky, where I managed to squeeze 4 years of college into 4.5 years. Um, while I was at UK, I was an equipment manager for the UK football team. We were not as good then as they are now, unfortunately.
Yeah,
And
this year's a
then
rare year.
right, and then I graduated from UK and went to Southern, where I did a Master's of Divinity and a PhD. And then I started adjunct teaching at University of the Cumberlands in Williamsburg, Kentucky, and that's where I met my wife Stephanie. We were married in 2015, and then had our baby girl in January of 2019. And so I'm still adjunct part-time professor at UC and travel all over the state and all over the country doing different speaking engagements at schools and businesses and corporations, organizations, and churches.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, your stories just catapulted you into a whole nother arena probably you didn't even envision for your life at all.
Oh yeah,
And it
you
just
know
kind of keeps opening up doors.
there was a, you know, I was doing some speaking before the movie, and then the movie was released, and that kind of gave me a boost. But what really gave me a boost was when they put the movie on Netflix.
Uh,
And it was on Netflix for about 3 years, I think, if I
yeah.
remember correctly, 2 or 3 years. And you know, now it's on Amazon Prime, which isn't as prominent.
Hmm.
But you know, I'm still getting opportunities, and it's just been an overwhelming experience, but it's been a fun ride for sure.
Yeah, I mean, really, it absolutely has. And let's talk about that a little bit too, because you're not just using this moment of fame, if you will, for self glory. You've created a few different projects and foundations to leverage what happened in your life to be an inspiration to others. Um, like the Freeman Foundation, you have the
Hmm.
Lights Out Blindfolded 5K race. 5K race, is that
Yes,
correct? And
yes,
then
yeah,
there's a dinner party you do where
yeah.
people eat with
Right,
blindfolds on.
right. So I started the Freeman Foundation in 2014 when the movie was released, and the Freeman Foundation exists to raise awareness of the needs and potential of people with disabilities, and we promote the truth that disability does not equal inability.
There you go.
And so that's just the goal of the foundation. And a couple of things that we have done in the past as fundraisers and just to help raise awareness is the blindfolded 5K, where people complete half of a 5K blindfolded while they're being led by their partner, and then at the halfway point they switch. And then we also have done a dinner in the dark where we blindfold people and bring them in, and they have to eat dinner blindfolded.
Wow.
And so we've had fun with those events in the past, and hope to get back into that and do some more of those. And then a lot of the money that we raise helps us support two orphanages in Haiti, and they are orphanages that care for children with disabilities.
Mm.
Haiti is the fourth poorest country in the world. They are the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. And in their culture, if you have a disability, you're looked upon as being cursed,
Oh man.
and you're just kind of cast aside and forgotten about. And these couple of orphanages that we have connected with take a lot of those kids in, and so we just try to help them raise their standard of living just a little bit. And then along with that, we just probably a year to a year and a half ago, we have a guy in Haiti that we pay on a part time basis, and he called one of our board members one day, and he said, I've got a Travis here," and she was like, "What
I've
are you
got a
talking
Travis.
about?" And he said, "There's a little boy in my neighborhood who's blind, and his
Man.
family had abandoned him and just
Mm.
left him." And so Kinley took David in, and they found out that he was about 10 years old. And at 10 years old, he weighed 46 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
So Kinley took him in, started feeding him, got him in to see the doctor, got him in to see an eye doctor, and found out that he had some form of pediatric cataracts. And
Mm.
so we were able to get him a cataract surgery,
Oh
and he can now
wow.
see.
Wow. Come
And
on.
just this year, this fall, started school for the first time.
Oh wow.
And,
And
it's
how old is he
just,
now? Like
he's
11 or 12?
probably 10 or 11,
And he's now
something
he's
like
just now
that.
starting school.
He's just now starting school for the first time. Kinley told us that he was so excited about his first day of school that he went to bed at 6 o'clock the night before. Like
Wow.
we have
Man.
literally given this kid a chance at life now.
Yes. Yeah. Wow.
And
What a
so
testimony.
yeah, so we're just trying to do those kinds of things. And Haiti right now is just a rough place.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to get on the ground there since the fall of 2018, and it's just heartbreaking. We love those people. We love that culture, um, and just want to be back. But that's just not possible right now.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, circumstances obviously, but yeah,
Right.
but what a great cause, and this is how God's using your story, your life to get into the position to where you can help others that are going through this with disabilities and blindness and so forth. I mean,
Right.
what a great testimony. I love that. That's a beautiful thing. So a couple more things before we kind of talk about how people can get in contact with you and
Yeah.
donate and all that kind of stuff is, your story, is a story of adversity. It started at a very young age. It was used to move other people into a wonderful thing. And so basically, what would you like to say to everyone that is watching as a closing statement when they're
Yeah.
faced with challenges and stuff?
Well, just know that there is hope. Hope is an amazing thing, and if you have hope, then you can make it through anything. But the reality is, the only way that we can have lasting hope is in Christ and in God, and understanding that God has a plan for our life, and that's where we find true and lasting hope.
Yeah, that's good. Travis, thank you so much. So let's talk now about how people can
Yeah.
get in contact with you. What is the best way for them to reach out and so forth. I'm going to bring up a slide so everybody can see it. There you go, Dr. Travis Freeman.
Yeah, so the best way, if you're interested in booking any kind of event, or if you want to purchase a copy of the book or the movie, we also sell 23 Blast movie posters, as well as Freeman Foundation T-shirts. But to purchase any of that stuff, the easiest thing to do is either to find me on Facebook and send me a message there, or on Twitter, or through email. Just email me, and we can work it out that way.
That's awesome. And I'll just make sure I'm going to read these out loud, Travis, so you can make sure I got them correct.
Yeah.
Twitter is at TF or T Freeman 63.
Yes.
Cell phone or phone number is 859-619-0663.
Yes, sir.
Email is taf@travisfreeman.org.
Yes.
Facebook is facebook.com, the Freeman Foundation.
Yes.
And website is travisfreeman.org.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Perfect. Travis, thank you so much for sharing. Great story. We would love to have you back too and just kind of talk more about just life in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you so much. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. And I will put link in the description to your book as well.
Yeah.
And so if you want to provide me with a link that's better than Amazon, that's fine with me.
All right. Well, yeah, just the like I said, the best way is just to email me, or
Perfect.
reach out to me on Facebook and social media. But thank you for having me on. I've enjoyed our talk, and would love to get together again and talk some more about life and business and social media promotion and all that kind of fun stuff.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Let's do it. Travis, thank you so much, buddy. We'll be in touch for sure.
My pleasure.
Have a great, wonderful day and weekend.
All right. You too.
You too. Yeah, thanks. Take care.